Good afternoon. I'm talking about, I'm going to share with you a little bit of our experience with home automation. And I'm trying to make an analogy between the PC market of the 80s and the smart home business of today. Also, well, let's go ahead and not waste time. Jean-Pascal Nathan de Simone, very long and complicated name, especially for the Chinese people. Not my fault, I'm sorry. A little bit of my introduction. I am electronic engineer and lighting designer, founder of ZWave technology and Flex Automation back in 2003 and 2010. And those companies are designing and producing smart home platform B2B across 15 different countries. We have an experience of more than 50,000 fully automated homes, which you can consider like connected homes or maybe smart homes, and more recently IoT. So we are in IoT business before the IoT term was even considered. Maybe we have one of the longest experience on this field, especially in wireless. I'm a ZWave evangelist, one of the ZWave evangelists. We have another one here, Mr. CK. And we are a group of guys which are passionate about home automation. I have two sons. One is engineer and the other one will be an architect. Good for business, I hope, especially for my business. And I'm a passionate bike rider and a golf player, but a bad one. But I still love it. Okay, here's our agenda. We're going to talk about the Kondratiev cycles and the PC market versus smart homes. I'm going to share with you some IoT figures, smart home technologies, critical successes in terms of interoperability and legacy respect, ecosystem, smart home adapters, market drivers, and I'm going to share some new approach for B2C and real cases. In the middle of the presentations, I'm going to share with you some movies, advertisement, which are available, especially in the United States, which is the largest market for the home automation. Nikolai Kondratiev. I don't know if you have heard about this guy. He lived in the early 20th century, and he was an economist, a Russian economist, and he came up with this idea of the cycles in the economy, and the cycles also were considered afterwards for technology and evolution. So there are basically, according to him, 4 periods. The first period, it's like a sinoid. The first period is when you are launching a new technology, and then you have, I better show in here. There are 3 screens, right? So improvements, it's when you start a new technology here, and then you have prosperity, when the technology gets matured, and then you have recession, when the technology goes down, and then depression, when usually you have a catastrophe. You have to move on. And originally, Kondratiev came with the idea that the cycles were like 60 years or 50 years. And it worked pretty well on the 19th century and 20th century. But when we got the communication, got much more efficient, and the information are more accessible to everyone, those cycles have been reduced a little bit all over the time. But if you look in here, for example, the automotive cycle, so we are already finishing this cycle. We started long ago, and starting a new, different cycle with the information technology. So let's give a more update on this wave. So you see now, we are considering that the new waves are maybe no more than 30 years. Okay, so what we are seeing now is the beginning, is the end of one wave, computers, and the initial of another wave, like the smart homes. Okay, Back to the 80s, I believe most of you are familiar with this motherboard, early 80s. This is how it looked like, the PC, how it looks like. And let's see what the PC market was at the beginning. At the beginning, the technology, you must agree with me that it was not really mature. And there was a lot of work needed to do to make things work well. Suppliers are not all very reliable. And every week there was a new kid on the block, a new company, and offering something different, or maybe the same thing with a different name or different approach. And it was also very hard to convince people to buy a PC, to have a computer at home. Nobody had a computer at home, right? You had to convince people to have a computer at home. It was very demanding, required a lot of work for everyone. You must recall some of these brands, and most of them, they have changed. Some of them have been acquired by the others. Some other change from hardware manufacturer to consulting, and some other have merged each other, and some other just been vanished from the market. But if you look after the initial cycle, I mean, like 20 years afterwards, let's move to early 2000, or year 2000, the last decade. How was the situation for the PC market? The margins were good. Everybody on this business were enjoying big margins. Technology was sold basically by resellers, okay? And the technology was complex enough, but at the same time, the resellers could sell it because it was simple enough for them to sell. And there was very common, everybody remember, when you had a PC or a notebook, after a year or two, maximum 2 years, you will replace by a new one, right? So because every time you're coming faster, more memory, more this or more there, and the computers got obsolete, and then you naturally buy a new one. Nobody had to convince you to buy. You will buy a new one. This was the market of the PCs back to these years. And how the market looks today. Right? We have this, which much higher, much stronger processing capacity than those huge motherboards. Okay, let's go back to that slide about the PC in the golden age. But let's make some slight change on this. Smart home, not PC anymore. And also here. Okay, forget about PC, let's talk about smart home, okay? I'm here to talk about smart home. So, how is the smart home business nowadays? Technology is immature, right? Things need a lot of work. Suppliers are unreliable. Some are good, but there are many which are not really reliable. Every week there's a new company coming up. Every week we hear a new company, a new startup, and there's a lot of work to do to convince people to transform their home in a smart home. Isn't that true? Yeah. Right? So that's the parallel I'm doing with the PC market. Okay, what is our goal? Our aim is to reach that stage. Remember the Kondratiev cycles? So smart home is going like this, and then we want to enjoy this. We want to achieve that new stage. Also Kondratiev, he created, he separated the cycle, the senoid, in also in like the seasons, and so we want to achieve the spring season, right? And how will be the spring for us? The margins will be fine, and the technologies will be sold by resellers, and the technology is complex enough for resellers, but simple enough for them. and there will be a large selection of products. And once the customer bought it, he bought it again. That's no problem. You don't need to convince him, right? So, Smart Home 2016 is PC 1986. Let's share with you some IoT figures. There are so many figures in the market predicting about the existing market size and the future ones. Okay, so the analysis, how will be the IoT business? Talking about 2020, there will be 4 billion connected people, $4 trillion in revenue opportunities, more than 25 million applications, 25 billion embedded intelligent systems, and 50 trillion gigabytes of big data. Okay, those are some of the figures available everywhere. And how the IoT can create opportunities. Talking about big data, you're going to have a lot of information available. So one of the challenges and the greatest opportunities on the IoT business is what you're going to do with those data. Okay, and if you can analyze that data, and you can predict consumers' needs or manners, you can make a lot of money with that. We can evaluate, we can predict trends in the market, we can avoid diseases, and we can reduce the crime, and we can combat the terrorism, just because you do correlations on the big analysis, on big data analysis. So basically what we are talking about is smart home as a service, because of the extension of the existing products and services, disruption of the legacy business practices in the market, and the creation of the new B2B and B2C products and services. Opportunities for the IoT growth. Basically, what we see here, there are home automation business, security, and home entertainment driven the business. And it's according to some research institute like ABI, they predict that in the next 5 years, the total smart home revenue will be led by hardware sales. But around 2020, these services will overtake the revenue of hardware. So that's why it's so important to understand the big data and how to use that information. According to some researches, what the consumers want, they really want real stuff, hardware. What kind of hardware they want? They want thermostats, they want lighting devices, they want plug-in modules, they want door locks, sensors, smoke detectors, water and gas shut-off valves, alarm panels, motorized shades, entertainment, and so on, physical devices. That's why the prediction is for hardware in the next 5 years. Okay? And there are several different figures from different institutes. For example, Frost & Sullivan is talking about $2.5 billion revenue by 2020. Some others are considering 23% of average growth by 5.8 billion. Some others talking about 3.6. Anyway, no matter how you look at there's not a big difference. Actually, there's a big difference between 2.5 billion and 6 billion. But in the worst case, it's a nice number, right? And ABI research separate by different continents. So, and you can see that North America is going to be leading, it's already leading, but it's going to be leading like 46% of smart home revenues by 2020, followed by Europe and then Asia Pacific, with a average growth annual rate of 21%. About the smart home technologies, let's talk a little bit about what's available in the market and the critical success factors. This is how the smart home business looks like today. You have probably some of them you haven't heard yet. Me neither. If you ask me, there are some which I really don't know the details. But remember, I told you, every week there's a new kid on the block. And how it happens? Let's see this cartoon. Imagine we are evaluating the market. There are 14 different competing tech standards, right? And then we say, oh, there's something wrong. 14 is too much. Let's make one single technology that can overcome and then be the one. Yes, good, let's do it. We have just created the 15th standard, right? Are you familiar with that? So we are very good in creating standards, especially when we are in this part of the wave, when we are growing. So there's a trend to happen. And who is going to win? I mean, among all of this, who's going to win? I don't know. But I can tell you that we are not going to decide that. I mean, we are manufacturers. We are in this business. We are not going to decide that. Who is going to decide that? Consumers. Market. Exactly. So, ecosystem. This is one of the key factors. Because nobody can make all the products. There's no single manufacturer in the world that can make all the products. And there's no way you can push customers or consumers to buy everything from one company, right? Because consumers, they have the right to choose. I want to choose this product from this manufacturer or this product from the other manufacturer. And we have to allow them to do that. This is how we see in the history the companies that have been successful is because they gave to the consumers the right to choose. Okay, so what are the critical success factors for rolling out a smart home IoT? Number one, there must be an ecosystem, which means you need to have a lot of products available for customers to choose. And those products must be interoperable. No matter from which manufacturer, those products must be interoperable. And once you buy them, you don't need to mind about security. They must be robust. Of course, you want these products to cover your entire home. Everything must work perfectly. And there is a very important factor, and I'm going to share with you my personal experience about that. It's backwards compatibility. Okay? Because remember I mentioned that it's very hard to convince the consumers to start using home automation. Okay? Once they got it, and they will buy again. But the initial stage is very difficult. Okay? Okay, so let's say that you convince the guy to buy home automation. After 2 years, he tried to contact the manufacturer or that system to either increase or change something. That company is gone, or that system is gone, or that protocol is gone, or it was acquired by another company that changed, and you missed the track. So what do you do with all your investment? So this is very important, the respect to the consumers in terms of backward compatibility. Okay, so I'm going to do some kind of advertisement because that's why I'm here, talking about ZWave. If you look on that remote control on the left, oops, sorry. Okay, this one here. This is the very, very first ZWave remote control ever launched in 2003. This is the first plug-in device and the first dimmer. By that time, that was the very popular cell phone, okay? This is how it looks like today. Slightly different, but still compatible. And I'm going to share with you something that I did just before I left my home in Brazil last week. I had this installed in my home. Ask this guy, CK, he was there. He saw that. It's installed 12 years in my home. 12 years. Still working. But my wife was pushing me, why we have such an old stuff? I am told her, because it's working, right? But okay, I am a guy that created Flex. I'm going to talk a little bit about Flex. So all my friends, most of my friends, they have much nicer products at their home. And when they go home, they laugh, they make fool of me because I have all the old stuff there. And you can see on this box, there are very old stuff over there. I calculated those products worked for 100,000 hours continuously. And they're still working. But old stuff. Especially in my living room. I didn't want to change everything. So my wife convinced me to make a lift in my home. And I convinced her to do only on the living room. On the rest of the house, keep the same. Okay, so I did it. This is how it looks like. I can share more pictures later on, but it's much nicer, much modern. But what I'm trying to share with you is that 14 years later, it's still compatible. I can use the same remote control to control both. Okay? If I am not the ZWave guy in Brazil, but I'm just a consumer, I will be very happy. And if I am a builder or a developer or a service provider, I would be much more comfortable to put my money and my investment in a technology that can last for so long and has this kind of respect with the previous generations. So let's talk about what happens in the market when you have such kind of behavior with your consumers. Open standards grow. And there is a slight difference between what is a real open standard and what it blames to be an open standard. But let's go to Google Trend. You know Google Trend? Everybody can go on the web and put googletrend.com and trend and put the ZWave word. You're going to see that recently the number of clicks and search on ZWave are growing a lot. Let's take a look on the competing technology. What's happening? This is supposed to be an open standard, as you know, and we are supposed to be a closed standard. But this is how it goes, because there is ecosystem and interoperability and backward respect and things like that. And for those who still blame that ZWave is not an open standard, since last month, the owner of the protocol opened the protocol. So it's fully open standard. Okay, so why you choose ZWave? Because it's an ITU standard, it's a UL component recognition, it has all the security that you need, it's a wireless mesh, works in sub-giga, so there are no conflicts with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and every node can work as a repeater. You don't need a gateway to make it work, you don't need a coordinator to make it work. It's ultra low power, you can run on batteries and have devices working for 10 years, and all the other issues that I mentioned before. So as a result, ZWave has 1,500 interoperable devices, where ZigBee there are only 244 interoperable. Of course, ZigBee has much more devices than ZWave, much more. But I'm talking about interoperability. That's the key difference. I'm going to share with you a movie, short movie, from a company named SmartThings. Belongs to Samsung, and very successful business in the United States. And let's share this. It's quite funny movie. It's a story of the guy that doesn't have a home automation, but he wish he had, right? And he's very funny behave, and then of course the advertisement of the system itself. So let's roll on.
awake. Start making coffee.
Of course. No coffee. It's gonna happen. It's a little dark, right?
Hey, don't forget to lock up after I leave, all right?
He is nice at least,
Air
right?
conditioner. Leaving work now. Please turn on when you get this so it'll be cool when I get home. Love always, Zach.
There's an easier way to get the objects in your life to do what you want. Unlock a new world of possibilities by using your smartphone to communicate with the things around you. Secure your home. Control lights and electronics. Get notifications when people come and go. And create a safer, smarter home in the palm of your hand. After all, it's about time that the everyday things around us did more to make our lives easier. Now they can.
Okay, you can see a lot of brands over there. It's compatible systems. And those compatible systems are not only ZWave. Okay, there are ZWave, there are ZigBee, and there are Wi-Fi. Okay, so but if you decide to go on SmartThings and decide to add devices, this is what you find in stores. You have 5 Wi-Fi certified devices with SmartThings, 14 ZigBee, and 94 ZWave. So that's what I'm talking about, ecosystem. Let's share some of the ZWave adapters by different areas, like in lighting. Some you may be familiar. I just put some of the most famous ones on lighting, thermostat, locks, service providers, and security companies. By the moment we are talking, there are more companies join the ZWave Alliance. And I'm going to also share with you some other advertisement. This is from Vivint. Vivint is a service provider for security. Security is the main 3 minutes? Really? Oh. Okay, it's up to you. I have a lot of things to speak here. Okay, so maybe I have to jump this movie. Yeah? Really? Is that bad? Okay. You see? Forget about the 3. Put a 0 after the 3, okay? Okay, so I was talking about the security market. Security market is driven the home automation business in the United States. Actually, it's leading this business. And 9 out of 10 alarm panels sold in the United States use ZWave. So this is one example of a system. Okay, where's my mouse? Mouse disappeared. Yeah, okay.
What if you could turn your lights on from a completely different city? Tell your front door to lock itself and secure your home. Even check in on your kids when you can't be there. Now you can with Vivint. Simple, affordable home automation. It's the power to control and protect your home when you're
I'm going to cut this movie just to give you the idea, and I go to the next one because it's going to be almost the same. This is from another security company, ADT, belongs to Tyco
That's why
Group.
ADT Pulse is so great. If I forget to arm my home security system, I can do it right from my phone.
Introducing ADT Pulse Solutions, a new kind of security service that you can control remotely with your phone or computer. Now the people you trust to help protect your home give you a whole new way to manage it. Choose just the services you want, like remote arming, controlling lights so it looks like someone is at home, or keeping up with events at home through private video. And because it's ADT...
So you can see that considering the BlackBerry remote cell phone that they are using, this is a quite old marketing piece, right? But, you know, this is not a new business already. And then we have from service provider, telcos, service providers, AT&T. The kids are getting home with all the keys.
Tap away. Introducing AT&T Digital Life. Personalized home security and automation that lets you be closer to home.
So cool. Have you noticed the advertisement? They have changed a little bit, right? They're more emotional. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this later. Okay, on the ZWave Alliance, these are some of the companies which are members of it. I'm going to point some which are well known. D-Link, LG, Interlogics, and I need to do my own advertisement flex. Sorry about that. Let's talk about some new opportunities on new markets. So aging in place, active aging, smart insurance, and smart energy. On the active aging, what means active aging? So people are getting older and older, but they aim to still be active. So they're looking for better quality and looking for living longer. So these are as you can see, the safety and smart living, health and remote care are the largest markets of this. You have wellness and fitness, but they're not so strong. And the trends on this business are very huge by 2020. Because actually 50% of all the consumers, they say they will sleep better if they knew if their parents are okay at home. And even the parents say that they will stay much more comfortable if they have some kind of parents or grandparents, they have a smart care. So this is a great market which is growing and will grow a lot in the next years. Another one is insurance companies. So for example, if you join smart homes and insurance providers, you can have a perfect match, because you can add devices to avoid a lot of troubles like leakage or disasters, preventions, or you can reduce the risk. So for example, if you do an analysis or risk analysis in a building which has smart intelligence there, you can reduce the policies or you can at least charge differently if they have or if they don't have smart devices installed. So for example, I have some figures that were shared. In the United States, you have 14,000 homes with water leaks per day. Is that correct? Claims. Yeah, so this is a huge number. 14,000 claims of water leakage. So if you can control this or monitor, that would save a lot of money for the insurance companies. I'm going to share another funny movie here. And this is from AT&T again. And it tells the story of the guy which is in the countryside. And his son comes to join the weekend with him. And he stopped by at his home first. And then the father asks if he left everything okay. And then you see what happened. Oops. Where is the mouse? Okay.
Hey guys. Hey, glad y'all made it.
Sorry we're late.
Did you run into traffic?
No, just had to stop by the house to grab a few things.
You stop by the house?
All right, whenever you get your stuff, run upstairs, get cleaned up for dinner.
You leave the house in good shape?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure you did.
Introducing AT&T Digital Life, personalized home security and automation with limited availability in select markets.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you did. Yeah, sure you did. Benchmark. ZWave protocol. I'm not going to spend much time on this, but basically, what is the ZWave in terms of mesh network? What I'm going to do is actually share with you some benchmark of a traditional centralized system, okay, or star topology. How it's going to be if you want to control lighting circuits, 14 lighting circuits, 4 blinds, an access control, air conditioning, and a gateway. So we have the blinds and air conditioning, and so this is more or less how will be your installation. Let's compare this with a mesh network. That's it. Okay, so it's much more simple. You can save a lot of copper. So the installation is something like this, and a traditional installation versus this. Much less wires, much less wires. Or if you have a central panel or just a normal power panel. And the end result, it's much nicer. Invisible automation versus flex automation. So invisible automation is what we see most. Is something that is installed in your home, and you get into this ambience and you don't see, you don't get the feeling that it has automation or not. For example, imagine we have 4 on-off switches here in the ambience and 4 dimmers. Okay? We can go there and transform these normal switches, electrical switches, into smart switches. We can put little antennas behind or actuators behind and make them part of a home automation system. Okay? So you open the switches, and you put the modules inside behind the wall switches or the face plates, and then you can control everything from your smartphone or from a remote control. All of these devices are ZWave. Okay? So they are smart? Yes, they are smart. Can you control them? Yes. But if you go on this ambience, what are you going to see? You're going to see just regular switches. Okay? So you cannot tell your brother-in-law that you have home automation unless you show your smartphone. Okay? But you can have something like this installed. This one has 4 relays, 4 dimmers, and a scene keypad. So it basically replaces all those 11 devices. But when you get in this room and you see this panel, you maybe not really understand what it does, but you see it's something different. So this is what we call the difference between an invisible automation or a non-invisible automation. So that panel has also infrared communication. You can configure scenes, like 4 scenes, and you can do 3 ways using the normal 3-way wires at your home. So these are the different range of panels we have for different applications. All of them working with the ZWave. Okay, so then you can have different installations, like the conventional installations on the left and something more sophisticated on the right. So those are real pictures of real ambiences. And I'm going to share with you some real cases. As I told you before, we have been, 1 minute, good. Put 10 on the front of it. Sorry, guys. So we've been in business for 13 years, so we have done a lot of IoT. And these are, for example, this project we have deployed 5 years ago or 6 years ago. It's we have a full automation of each apartment of these buildings, those 2 buildings, and you can see there are 12,000 ZWave modules or controlled zones on this one. Another one with 7,000, almost 7,000. Only one building with 7,000 connected devices. And this one with 4,000 connected devices or IoT devices. Many other projects. You can have more information on our website. And then I'm getting close to the end, trust me, not even 5. The B2C approach, as I was telling you before, there is the way it's very hard to convince to sell home automation. And one of the best way, if you get the people emotionally involved on this. For example, baby care. So if you're talking about, I'm going to take care of your kid, I'm going to allow you to take care of your kid even when you are away. So then it's easy to convince, right? Instead of, okay, you are going to save $100 per month in terms of energy saving. Okay, it's easy to understand, but it doesn't touch your heart, touch your pocket or your brain, but not your heart. So what we have seen recently is that the perception of this is so clear in the market that all the marketing pieces, marketing advertisements, they are going on this direction. So I'm going to share something which is not ZWave, actually. It's from Philips Hue. You may have heard about that. There are smart bulbs. And take a look how they advertise their product. Not a single word.
She was so startled that she dived down under the water.
Swan?
It's so dark. Cannot increase the brightness. Let's try.
Quiero volver.
¿Y si me traigo las vacaciones con nosotros?
Vale.
So this is just giving the feeling at how light affect our life, our mood. Unfortunately, the light on the movie is very bad, so you don't have the real impression.
Hue. Personal wireless lighting.
But it's another Internet of Things. And it's something that we better get used to very quickly because it's getting more and more common in our life. You must remember when I was showing you the Kondratiev cycles and I was telling you about the cars. The cars are, what we see now in the cars, it's amazing because it's already matured. So the things that we see on the cars, they are amazing, but they are not really surprising us. If there are different controls or automatic parking system, things like that, they're just okay. We don't get really shocked with what we see because it's part of our life, okay? And home automation will be like that. So let's take a look on this last slide and last movie. It's actually from Volkswagen Passat car. The father is driving the car and the son is just getting stared with so many innovative things of the car. And when he gets home, you will see.
Aus Liebe zum Automobil.
Open the shades. We better get used to. That was the message of this movie. And sorry for taking so long. Thank you very much for your time.